Can I just ask you a little bit about materials and techniques? Is it oils or acrylics that you use?
I've used all of them. I eventually evolved into acrylic. The learning curve on acrylic is a little bit higher than the learning curve on the oil paints. But the oil paint was more of an environmental thing, that if I truly believe in the environment, then I'm not going to have gases pouring down, or however I dispose of those. And I try to have less impact on anything I do. And sculpting, I use very modern things. And sometimes with those modern things, if they don't agree with the environment, then I don't poison my environment. I will stay with those until they get something that will.
And for your texture, because you have a very effective use of texture, is that paint, or do you put like plaster or?
That's a combination. The combination is called a heavy-bodied acrylic. Heavy body, super heavy. Okay, you get extra heavy. Extra heavy might be a little bit beyond the need, but the extra one. And then you also have to be able to put paint inside it. So you need to opaque it with it. And so with that opaquing becomes your pigment. So you'll have a base pigment that moves through it. When you're selecting it, you're looking for middle. You're looking at 50% gray. One side, of course, is tone. The other side is value. And color, it slides. Red has a different medium point than blue. It's not all the same formula, so we find out what that is. And so when you're painting, you don't want to be using black, because black kills. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be mixing a complementary colors from the painting strategy that you've used. If you have, like, for example, you might have an analogous palette. Well, you look at that, what in this is going to give me a gray. So that's what you're doing. You're applying and you're shading to it so you don't kill your paint. And you want those layers to come up. And you also want, I don't want to go directly into that color. I want a green, okay? I'm going to have a blue into it, and then I'm going to put a yellow over to that, and I'm going to get my green. Right there, do you see? Right? Right, so with it, you have your loaded brush. When you put too much pigment into a loaded brush, it becomes very opaque, and you don't get to necessarily what you're going to. It's more of patience as well. And the problem is that if you are too careful, then things become kind of dull. Dull just when you look at the excitement of it. So you're going to put, with this technique here, with one brush in one hand, right? Application. You don't need to have precision. Where your precision is coming is in this brush. Moving through it, and there's different things that you can do. So when you're looking at a color, and sometimes, and this comes from experience, that if you're in a situation, say, oh, geez, I want to get out of that. You want to stumble back. What stumbling back means is just simply white with a medium into it, and you're pulling back from it, and you're creating a gradation. And then you're going to move over with a lighter, like a wash, which is called a layer, or you can either put it flat down and use a suspension coat. And that suspension coat is done with a medium over top. You have another brush which has very little things. It's all mixed into the pigment, and then you skim over the top. Skim over the top. You'll see the brush actually going and skimming through it. But because it's wet, it's moving down. It's like alla prima, and it will move down and into those colors, and you get really neat effects. You get like kind of like a watercolor effect, but this is like a controlled state. And so what you're doing is you're looking and you're saying, okay, paint this for me. And so you're asking something that's greater than you to paint that for me. Let me see what you have. Right? And you see it, and you say, oh, wow, okay. Right, now we're talking. And that gives you the incentive. That gives you the confidence to move on into something else, into a trickier area that you have. And you don't want to be doing this, you know, because I think that has something to do with the ego. And it's like, oh well, look how well I can paint. Wait till I get a load of this. You know, and then you look at it looks wooden. You know, so you have to be aware of that, and as an individual, and it happens to me, it happens to all of us, is that we get too close. We've got too much invested. We say to ourselves, so protective of it. You have to throw that away. You have to say, look, I'm going to live with this or die by it. Right? And hopefully you move on. But even if you go this far, you've been that far, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen the next step. You go into down this road. I see you, I've been here, I knew what happened last time. I'm not going to make that mistake.
It sounds like you're answering 4 questions in this process that you just described.
Again, it's art, and that's why I had included that.
You live by it, you die by it. The spirit is the question, and also what is sacred. You've just described that whole process.
Yeah, it is. I live by those words that I speak, and that's how my art lives within that realm.
Yeah.
So I'm expressing what it is that I do, and I know this doesn't apply to all artists. I hope not. It doesn't apply to you or you. But if you can take away a little bit of what I said and said, that guy said that, maybe I'll try that. You know, so that.
I think what you say loud and clear is connect with yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's
not the arts, or not just be. And that's what everybody is trying to say, but you are saying it in a different way, in a different medium for now.
Yeah,
Right?
that's exactly it. You hit it right on the nail.
That's what it is.
Yeah.